Hey everyone, this is Neo once again from the Overclocker magazine. So today I have for you something a little bit different, and that's the AORUS FV43U. So this is a 43-inch monitor, as the name suggests, and it has basically all the bells and whistles that you might need for a high-end gaming monitor in 2022. It's not a monitor from this year. I think it was available last year already. But in terms of monitor technology, I don't think that much has changed. So therefore, it's as relevant as it was last year when it first came out. So how much are you looking to spend on a monitor, especially a 43-inch one that's 4K? This one retails for about $25,000. The US dollar price for this is around 1,018. I think that's what I saw on Amazon. But yeah, that might change, But what I do know is that around 25,000 rands allows you to buy this monitor. And for 25,000, you get a lot of monitor. In fact, I think that it's actually one of the cheapest monitors that you can get with this sort of specification. So what are the specifications? We're talking about 4K resolution. We're talking about HDR support, a 10-bit panel, the VA panel, by the way. And we're talking 144 Hertz scan rate. Now, I was able to do 165 Hertz with overclocking. And quite frankly, I don't think it's worth it unless you are that sort of competitive gamer that needs as high a refresh rate as possible, in which case you probably wouldn't go for this one. You probably go for the other monitors from AORUS. They're a little bit smaller, but can actually go with a higher scan rate. But anyway, that said, when it comes to just using this monitor as a replacement monitor for the ones that I've been using, I don't think I can. The reason being, my desk is too small. So I'm literally sitting like such a short distance from where the monitor is that it actually causes some head movement when I'm trying to just look at things on the screen. However, as a gaming monitor, as a gaming TV rather, I don't think I've used anything better, at least in this aspect ratio. I'm a fan of 21:9, 3440 by 1440, and as high a scan rate as possible, HDR, VA panel, blah, blah, blah. But this monitor more than makes up for not being any of those things, but just how impressive it is to actually use. When I first used it, I didn't tune any of the settings. I just turned it on. It was on some custom mode and I was gaming just fine. And I thought, wow, this is pretty impressive. And then I went to the other modes, that the picture modes, and all of a sudden the colors came alive. It became so vibrant and so brilliant. And I'm thinking, wow, this monitor just took on a new level, or rather I have a new level of appreciation for this monitor. And that was after a week or something. So I have to say, in terms of visuals in games, I don't think that there's anything that's necessarily better than what you're going to get here. With that said though, more than just the visual quality of the VA panel, you are going to notice some sort of color shifting, particularly if you sit as close as I was sitting when I was using this monitor for basically productivity. So you do notice that sort of thing. However, if you give yourself some distance, then that's not going to be much of an issue. The OSD is probably the weakest element of this monitor, the OSD and the software, because it's RGB fusion, whatnot, and you need to connect a USB cable to it before you can use the software to program essentially the monitor. But I'm not going to dwell on the negative aspects of that monitor. You are well familiar with RGB fusion and generally all AORUS software. It really isn't great. But as with all AORUS products, the hardware is so powerful that it more than makes up for what you are actually losing in terms of software capability. And when I talk about that, again, I go back to the game quality and just how brilliant it is and the experience that you actually get when you are using such a overwhelming monitor in terms of size and in terms of audio as well. So this is another highlight for me. The audio on this monitor is second to none. I literally put my headphones of choice, which are the Corsair HS80s, I put those aside just to basically game with just what the monitor was giving me. The stereo separation is great, bass reproduction is great, and yeah, it literally is by far the best audio experience I have had from a gaming monitor. It's just second to none. But more than that as well, I actually do appreciate that this monitor works as a KVM of sorts as well, with picture-in-picture. So instead of me having to have two separate rigs like another monitor, another keyboard and mouse, I can actually just use this monitor and just switch between my test rig and my gaming rig, which is actually quite useful for me. Yes, I do know that I said I wouldn't use this necessarily for productivity, but just that feature makes it tolerable, especially if I have to do some recording of a BIOS, OS, and all sorts of things like that. But once again, for gaming, this monitor is second to none. I can imagine that eventually when I do get my hands on a PS5, this is the monitor of choice. In fact, I would necessarily want to use my PS5, or rather the future PS5 I'll have, with this monitor, because the AORUS FV43U is literally the best monitor that I've used for gaming. And I'm not even a fan of flat screens. In fact, I would have thought that maybe if this was curved, I wouldn't get as much of the color shift that I was getting because it's flat. But even with that, I don't care, because once you have the game running with HDR on, high scan rates, and obviously FreeSync as well, because this monitor does support FreeSync as well, it's an absolutely brilliant experience. Audio is good. Visually, the monitor is a bit understated, but I actually do prefer that. And yeah, what it produces visually and in audio is second to none in my experience. So if you are in the market looking for a high-end gaming monitor, this is the one to get. Like, this is if you have 25K and you have obviously the graphics card to go with it, because you're gonna need a high-end graphics card like a 3070 or something like that, maybe even a 3060 Ti. But if you have a graphics card that's appropriate for 4K gaming, you definitely want to consider this monitor. For 25 grand, you could do a whole lot worse than this, and it's unlikely that you'll be able to do much better. So check it out. Let me know what you guys think about this monitor. Would you buy such a big monitor, and do you have such a big monitor as well? And yeah, I'll see you guys on the flip side. So take care and peace.